Okay, guys, so let's go over how to track alcohol correctly into MyFitnessPal. It looks confusing, but it is very simple in reality. So, if you guys remember, some of you will have access to this guide to MyFitnessPal. If you don't, I'm going to be uploading this into the Facebook group so you all have this guide. So, this guide to MyFitnessPal, I explain step by step how to use the app correctly. If you're not tracking your foods, if you're not tracking your drinks properly, it'll not reflect the reality of what you're doing. Okay. And inside this guide here, there's this page on how to track alcohol. And I briefly break it down here, explaining what it is. So the thing is, um, alcohol is technically a fourth macronutrient. So there are three major macronutrients, right? Carbohydrates, fats, protein. And the fourth one, which is alcohol, we just consider alcohol a macronutrient because it does contain calories, but it's not actually a macro because it doesn't contain any nutrients per se. It just contains the calories from alcohol. And one of the things that confuses people a lot, or that some of you might be doing wrong when accounting for your drinks into MyFitnessPal, is just scanning the barcode. Why? The three macronutrients, you know that they eat each one of them. They contain calories, right? They are transformed into energy, calories. Carbohydrates and protein, each one of them, they have 4 calories per gram. Fats, 9 calories per gram. Alcohol, roughly 7 calories per gram. But we are focusing on tracking macros. Yes, we want to stay within a certain threshold of calories, but we want to do that through macros. If we're tracking macros, we are tracking calories. Does that make sense? So we're always focusing on the macros to make sure that our intake is on the right, with the right proportion, and giving our body the nutrients it needs to achieve our goals and to perform the best. So when you go and scan a bottle of wine, for example, in this case, a Malbec red wine. Love this wine, by the way. It's one of my favorites. So let's say I'm having 6 ounces, okay? And I want you to measure, all right? Especially if you're not an experienced tracker, because you might be drinking way more than you think. So I would like for you to place your glass on the scale and tear it to 0 and pour the drink that you're having and actually measure it. Okay, so that's the first step. When you input the serving size and the alcohol beverage that you're drinking, it will show up here the total calories for that serving size, right? So for 6-ounce glasses, 150 calories. Perfect. That will subtract from my calorie balance, but that will not subtract from any of my macros. How so? Because alcohol is not it's not a carb, it's not a fat, it's not a protein. It's alcohol. And you see, there's no designated space there's no designated account, let's say, for alcohol. So when you scan the barcode, you're only subtracting the calories. But when you look into your macros, and that's what we're doing, we're counting macros, it's going to still be perfectly fine, right? So it might seem that you still have a lot of carbs, a lot of fats, but in reality, you don't. And I'll explain why. So, okay, so you notice that when you scan the barcode, only calories, there's zero carbs, there's zero fats, zero everything. And you know, where is this calories coming from? We need to know. We need to know. To make this work, what do? We just scan the bottle, or we look up the name of the drink, whichever way works, depending on the drink. But we only do that so we know how many calories does it contain. Knowing how many calories does it contains, now we're going to make some math. Okay? So here is what I am explaining. Okay? So breaking it down. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be allocating this 150 calories into your macro account. You can take it out of carbs. You can take it out of fats. You cannot use it as protein. Okay? Either carbs or fats. Like I mentioned in the beginning, carbs contains 4 calories per gram. Fats, 9 calories per gram. Based on your daily budget, macro budget, you will decide if you're going to allocate this 150 calories into the carb account or into the fats account. How would you like to track it? If you're going to track it as a carb, then you take the total amount of calories in your alcoholic beverage and divide it by 4. So 150 divided by 4, 37.5. It means that you will have to log 37.5 carbs. You will not log your red wine because there's no way, you can't change this. You can't change the database. So unless you create a new food, right? Unless you create a new entry just for that glass, and you know exactly that's what you're going to be using from now on. You can also do that. You can create a new entry, create a new food, and already with the macros allocated perfectly. So the next time you're going to drink that same beverage, you already know how you logged them previously, and you just log it again. So, okay, you can do that. 150 divided by 4, 37.5 carbs. Okay. Or if you track it as fats, 150 divided by 9, which is 16.6. So 16.6, you will log as if you had 16.6 grams of fats. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? You can also mix it, right? You can use part of it for like half of it for carbs and half of it for fats. So you have a little bit more budget to play with. But depending on where you're at, you might have way more carbs to play with than you have fats. And sometimes what you will be consuming some sort of fat source with your alcohol beverage. Olives, pizza, cheese, prosciutto, like those kinds of things that pairs really well with alcohol. They're usually a source of fat. So I would prefer if you log in as carbs, so you have a little bit more fat budget to play with for the food. And how you log it as a carb then. So you scan the barcode just so you know the calories. Then you do the math. Okay. In this case, let's log it as a carb. Let's log it as 37.5 grams of carbs. How are we going to do that? Carbs. Boom. How much? 37.5. That's it. See? 38 grams of carbs. You rounded for me. 38 grams of carbs. 150 calories. This is what you're going to log. Carbs. That's it. Okay? Is it clear? Like, is it too confusing? But it's really simple in reality. You find out how many calories does your drink have. Then you decide which macro account you would like to allocate that for, fats or carbs. If it's carbs, you divide the total calories by 4. If it's fats, you divide the total calories by 9. You can do a mix of both if you want to and allocate into both accounts. So you're actually tracking the macro that is equivalent to the total amount of calories. Okay. So if I wanted to log in as fats, I would just I think fats here. Fats, 1 gram, 9 calories. So let's say 16.6, right? Nutrition info, 149 calories. Perfect. Boom. Okay. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to be uploading this guide to MyFitnessPal, if I have not done it yet, into the Facebook group, so you have it. And you can also always refer back to this video if you have any questions on how to track alcohol.